All this computer hacking is making me thirsty.
All I wanna do is drink beer for breakfast.
Suds and security.
All I wanna eat is them barbecue chips. All I want is someone just to try to protect us.
So, all right.
Cool. You ready?
Do your thing.
It's time for Suds and Security from beautiful downtown Fort Myers. How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing great. And
Oh my God, let me tell you what. For those of you who don't know, we are at the Rocket Lounge in beautiful downtown Fort Myers, and I have to tell you, this is a beautiful, beautiful place they have here.
first time on location at this awesome facility. For those of you who don't know about the Rocket Lounge is a startup incubator facility here in downtown Fort Myers. They were gracious enough to sponsor our three Suds and Security video podcasts today, and buy us beer, which...
Yeah, this isn't
talk
just a
about the
beer.
beer.
Yeah, let's talk about the beer. I haven't taken a sip of it yet. I'm scared of it. Peter brought this over for us. It's a Fat Tug IPA. Peter said this will be our lightest beer of the evening. It has 7% alcohol, but it is like 652 ounces. So yeah, thank you, Peter, for this. And
That's
I'm
a big one.
Very excited about the next one. So let's go ahead and see how it goes.
That's good IPA.
Yeah.
Very
Very good
make
beer.
sure you keep drinking
Very
with
good
it
beer, right?
as,
Yes,
as
this
we
is
go.
good.
Right?
So thank you again to the Rocket Lounge. Thanks, guys, for sponsoring us, and again for this beer. I would say great beer, but maybe the next one.
I like the IPA.
All
I
right,
think it's pretty good.
So what are we going to talk about today? What have we
first
got going
one we're
on?
doing is open source intelligence. So we're going to talk about what it is, what's out there, why people use it, why we use it, and how you can kind of lower that footprint, I guess. So let's talk a little bit about OSINT.
So open source intelligence is what? What is that?
So I got the definition right here. This is right from Wikipedia.
That works out pretty well. I
know,
didn't know that was going to happen.
Bam, and you
Yeah.
can even see it everywhere,
Yep.
right? So OSINT is one of those things that it's open information that's out there on the web or any other traditional media source about you or about your company, right? So it's information that's on the internet. It's things that are in mass media, specialized journals, job posting, tech forums, all that kind of information that's out there. And there's a ton of places to get that kind of information, right? So, like, that's it.
So
Like,
is dumpster diving considered?
I would think dumpster diving is. If you
I have a
know,
story about dumpster diving.
Anybody know what dumpster diving is? So, like a lot of guys back in the day, and I'm not saying that I did or did not do this. Yeah, same to you, buddy. They would, if they were trying to break into a place or get more information on a place, they'd actually go and take the garbage out and look through all the information in the garbage, right, to find out, all kinds of stuff. I mean, Mick did that, all those kind of guys. So, but today we don't have to do that much. You want to tell your dumpster diving story? Did you jump in there and just
I told you I had a
start
story,
pulling
but
out?
now it left my head. It's gone now, so go ahead.
Oh,
but
shit.
dumpster diving, I know that in the government, dumpster diving occurs as well. It's a great.
Well, if you need it, I mean, it's thrown away, so it's not.
Yeah,
yours
it's thrown
anymore,
away.
right?
It's
So-
legal, right?
Yeah, but today,
As long as you're not going on private property.
well, if you say so.
You can't go on private property to
I'm not
dumpster
a-
dive. That's
I'm not a
illegal.
lawyer.
That's the illegal part.
Well, I'm not a lawyer.
That's the illegal part. I'm just telling you right
trash
now.
is trash, but
You're in a mood today.
I am in a
can
mood.
see it
today.
already.
Well, I had enough. I get more beer in me, so.
Peter, we need more beer.
No,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I
Yeah.
still have 37 ounces of this one left.
Today, I mean, we don't have to. Dumpster dive is probably still apt, but today we don't have to do that. We have this lovely stuff here. Every bit of social media and every bit of your life is online to find out about. And we use this when we do pen testing and spear phishing arrangements, right? So one of the things we get paid to do is to send phishing emails to businesses and their users. So a lot of times they'll ask us, well, hey, maybe some of our upper level guys, they don't think you can get them, so why don't you try to spearfish them? And we will go out. The first thing we do open source intelligence. We start finding out where they're at, what they belong to, what they do, what their hobbies are, so we can craft an email, and 9 times out of 9, they click on that email.
Can we
Right?
talk about the executive that we did that to?
No.
Okay.
We can't. we
We had
can't.
an executive who dared us to find information about him because he didn't put anything on the internet, and within probably 6 minutes we had lots and lots of great information about him, and he crapped his pants, and it was a wonderful thing, except it was in our office and we had to clean up the crap.
Yeah, and he clicked on the email right away, so that was good. So, and we use this when we do penetration testing too. So one of the things we do, and any pen test company does, is probably 40% of the budget of a penetration test is spent just getting intelligence information, because the more I know about your organization, the easier it is for us to break through it and find where those weaknesses are, right? So if we know who's there, who the board members are, who the executives are, who the janitor is, or whoever else is on your website, and there's plenty of other information, not just that, but we can find that kind of stuff. Makes it much easier for us to then craft a plan to say, okay, this is how we're breaking in, right? Who knows what Shodan is? Anybody? I know you do. You don't count. But Shodan is really cool. So the Internet of Things, right? So I'm going to talk a little bit about this later on too. But you can go on Shodan and search for IoT devices. Doesn't matter what it is. Cameras, ICS, industrial control systems, thermostats, freezers, all kinds of stuff on there.
My favorite story, the refrigerator that tells you that you're out of milk. It's freaking awesome.
What do I need that for?
I just think it's cool. I don't say you need it. I have it. It's cool.
I know I'm out of milk. The milk's gone.
I don't have
done.
to do that. I can my fridge tells me on my phone.
I'm not plugging my fridge in the network. But
all right.
IoT is a huge deal, right? So we have a podcast about that too. So, but there's a lot of intelligence that can be gathered by looking at IoT devices. You would be surprised at the number of places who will go buy an IP camera and slap it flat on the internet, right? So now, what kind of intelligence can you get from that? Not only their comings and goings, right, and record that kind of information and look and see what they have. Again, you can find industrial control systems, all kinds of crazy shit on.
So I would think that, like Facebook, one of the things for open source intelligence to search would be Facebook, and I think it's that story where they say you're posting pictures that you're on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
While you're on vacation, right? And they say don't do that. I think another thing that probably people don't think about are like genealogy websites. Mm-hmm. Another great place to do collection on people. I don't know, most of you probably have credit cards, and most of the time when you get a credit card, they want to know your mother's maiden name or some other personal information like that. Of course, we post that on Facebook. At least my wife has her maiden name on Facebook, and I know a lot of other wives that have their maiden names on Facebook. So easy to find that kind of stuff out. So think about that stuff before you do it, because that's all useful information, not just for hackers who are trying to hack into your network, but also for bad guys who are trying to steal your identity.
It's all that stuff. It's all that stuff that's out there.
We've got
right?
a question. It's going to be about the beer.
Hold on, I gotta buzz you in. You can't talk unless I give you permission to talk, right? So I'm a
Okay.
control
He
freak.
is
Not
God.
you, Peter. Rock it out, buddy.
Now talking. Okay. So what about OK Google? Should we use it or not?
So
or
I just
what
was-
about Alexa and all those other
So-
good stuff we enjoy using, but should we or shouldn't we?
I'm going to hold on. I got to take a video. I got to put this I got to put this into the video when I try to do it, since you're doing that kind of stuff, right? So okay, Google. So I was on Wink News this morning. Well, not on. I was working with a Wink News reporter, and I'm not under NDA, so I could discuss
Shout
it
out
with
to
him.
Brian.
Yeah,
Wink
and
News.
it was and we talked about just that, the Alexa and the OK Google. So I don't know who has Android devices, but there you can actually go into your Google account and see everything you've ever spoken into your Android device, and it goes immediately. So, if I did it this morning, I did it on tape. If I go like this, I'm not even logged in my phone. I go, John's a dick.
He did that this morning and popped up right on the screen.
Once it goes away, and it's talking to me, I don't know what it's saying, but that is already went to Google. It's already there. It's already transcribed, and it's there for. When I looked at it, I had things in there from a year ago, right? So should you use it? I don't know. It depends on how paranoid you are, right? I don't like them having all these things in there that I'm putting through text messages and things like that. I can go in and delete it. Is it really deleted?
Can others get access to it?
If I get access to your Gmail account, I would probably one of the first places I'm going to go. Which depending on how secure you have your Gmail, that's not always the hardest thing in the world to do. So it's there. OK Google is no different, right? So it's going to store it somewhere. Alexa, they do store that stuff, but where, I don't know, and how subpoenable it is and that kind of stuff. So those are things that are going to be coming up soon for people to deal with. I don't have those devices in my house. I don't want anything. It's bad enough that your phone could probably be on it. Your phone is probably listening, but those devices for sure listen 100% of the time, right? They're listening for you to say, OK Google. Even some Android phones, I don't have mine set up to do that because I won't do that, because someone can tape your voice saying OK Google, like they're going to get this off YouTube, and then if they're next to my phone, play that back and it'll open up.
But are they recording or just up there? OK
They're
Google?
on, but as they're on, they have to be recording somehow, right? I mean, so where are they sending
listening
it?
and recording, that's different. So are they
It's a
recording
computer.
or just listening?
It's a computer. It's got to be stored somewhere. It's got to go in some storage somewhere, right? So whether it's listening or recording, who knows? They won't tell you, and I just don't have the. I don't trust anybody but my wife. I still make her cut the deck when we play cards, right? So
The maiden name is on the internet. So.
it's on the internet. So, yep. Thank you. I love having questions. I'll turn that mic off.
So applications, something that we talked about. I have a friend back in Washington, and he loves to drink beer, which is awesome. But he also likes to have a beer app that he tracks every beer that he has, and it also tracks the location of where he had the beer. And so one time he told me he had to go overseas for a while, and couldn't tell me where, and literally on the app, I started seeing where he was. He was in San Francisco, then he was in Japan, because he was checking in beers at every stop. So those are something, it was habit for him to do that. So those are things that you have to think about. Things that become habit, we don't give it a second thought. So certainly be careful of the apps, what permissions you give, what you allow others to see on the apps, because he didn't have to allow anyone to see that, but it was kind of the default setting. So those are certainly open source intelligence things that you have to be careful about.
Yeah, and that's like this piece of software I used just right up here. It's called Maltego. Maltego is an open source piece of software that basically tracks a person and all their connections, so you can start building a profile of people, of where they go and that kind of stuff. And it's all done through social media. It's an open. This is a free version of their software we use for pen testing, but it gives you all kinds of great. Excuse me, that's a burpy beer.
I smelled that over here.
Yeah,
when you did
probably.
that.
Yeah. There's probably some pizza in there too. But
I got drunk off of you.
Yeah, Maltego. I mean, all the software is out there to help. It's usually help for pen testers.
How many
but
more of
bad
these
guys.
do we have to do?
We're doing 2 more.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, well, then this is supposed to be the tamest
Right.
one. So Uber will be my friend. Who knows about Creepy? Anybody hear about this piece of software? So this is a really cool piece of software. I love it. So when you're trying to when you're trying to do a pen test, or you're trying to get more information about a person, their habits and where they go, especially if it's a highly secure organization, if I can start tagging and tracking their employees and figure out where they go, places that may be less secure, where I can get a device on one of their computers, or throw a piece of malware on, or try to trick them into logging into a fake access point or things like that, that's very, very helpful. What Creepy does is it uses the geolocation information stored in pictures when you post them on Facebook and Twitter and things like that, and then shows a track of the places that you go. So over time we can build a pattern, right? So people like to post pictures. I mean, I did today. I posted a picture of here, and it has geolocation information in it, right? Because I want people to know, hey, we're at the Rocket Lounge. Come on down and check us out. But people do that all the time, right? You're posting pictures. You're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about the metadata we'll talk about that goes on those things. And programs like this can then build profiles of, every day at 2, Billy Bob goes to the Starbucks and sits down and connects to the access point, and I like to get on Billy Bob's computer, right? Very easy to do, to pull that kind of information out. So really cool stuff. And talking about metadata, so who uses Microsoft Office? Yeah, I know you do. Okay. Who makes PDF files, right? Image files, all that stuff. Tons of companies do that, right? So a lot of times what we'll do is we're trying to look for information about a company. We're trying to find out information about their network, about what they use, the versions of software. That stuff's very, very important to someone who wants to break into your network, right? If you have a vulnerable piece of software, or maybe looking at getting some intel about how your network is done internally, a lot of that stuff is stored inside metadata, inside documents, inside PDF files. So what this bad little piece of software does, you point it at a website, it'll go find all the files it can find, spider the whole site, download them, and then analyze all the metadata for you. You don't have to do it by hand. And it'll tell you, here's what I found. I found this, and I found this. We found, Active Directory domain names in there, internal IP addresses. All this stuff is really gold for a pen tester, right? So that kind of stuff in open source intelligence, people don't think about. You have a web developer, you're putting up your stuff. You want to put up your manuals, your FAQs, all that kind of shit, and it's full of data that you didn't want to put out there.
And a lot of web developers comment in their code, and I know that I know a few around here who put very detailed comments in the code, and then that's all available for the bad guys to see as well. So.
And that's bad. So, Google. Who uses Google? Everybody, right? Google is one of the
I use
apps.
Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, Ask Jeeves.
This is my favorite.
Yahoo, which is not Yahoo anymore, right?
Right.
I
They went out of business.
Google is obviously one of the best tools for open source intelligence, and there's a lot of. It's not just your standard searches either. Anybody here know what a Google dork is? You do. You're just not fair, but that's okay. I'm glad you do. So you can search Google for very specific things, not using commands. to get information about systems that you're looking for. And I'm telling you that attackers do this all the time. This is the Google hacking database. There's a piece of ransomware that's going around right this second, and it attacks what's called a MongoDB, Mongo database, okay? Mongo databases are used usually for IoT-type devices, small. It's a NoSQL database, but they're infecting these things with ransomware, right? And then making people pay. This is a Google dork that went and that you can go to this the exploit database and I just did a search for Mongo just because it was there, and it showed me all this stuff. Like, here's all these things you can search for. This is actually a MongoDB that was infected with ransomware. But you can do a Google dork search for all the MongoDBs it sees on a database, and I think I pulled up like 10,000 of them, right? So if I can get information on your company and understand what software, and I want to talk about how we can get information on companies, right? Sometimes when you don't think about different ways like that, do a Google dork search to look for that kind of stuff and see if you have that stuff, and then use that as a vector to get into your network, right? All this stuff is out there, and people just don't think about that much data that's out there. I mean, we try to be pretty careful about what we put out.
Well, the normal users just don't think about it at all because this is stuff that spy agencies do, right? This is
Maybe,
stuff that hackers do.
I will not
right?
confirm or deny that.
I won't either, but I'm saying that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a Tom Clancy novel, doesn't it? So yeah, I don't think normal users probably think this way.
So this is one thing I did this search yesterday, and this is a local firm which I won't use the name of. This is a job posting, right? So how much valuable information do you think is in this job posting? They said we need someone who knows Entergy, Dentrix, Dexis, Platinum, MS E-Time. They list out. Who wants to bet that they're using this inside their network? I say with 100% certainty they're probably using this inside their network, right? The HCM, which is a company I think in Tampa that does health provider stuff, right? So you can pretty much map out just from a job posting information. Like, people don't think about, hey, I'm posting this job, I need an Exchange expert, I need someone who knows Cisco, this, that, and the other, right? All that information is very valuable to someone using open source intelligence tools to want to break into your network, right? So you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. I know people are like, well, what am I supposed to do? You just have to be really careful. One of the things that happened is we have a client who's an executive at a large company. Obviously we can't use names, but we're friends on LinkedIn, and so his IT director, they had just finished doing a big data center revamp, and since we were friends, he shared this post, and it was his IT director just listing off, we just finished our data center re-up, and we have these great VX servers, and we have all this ESXi stuff, and they just listed out point by point by point every piece of hardware and software. He was so proud of his team and what a good job they'd done. I wrote him back. I'm like, tell that guy his operational security sucks. It sucks. That is the worst thing they could have ever done. I mean, I know he's proud of his team and everything, but for someone who, for a high-profile company, wants to get into that place, that's a gold mine. It is an absolute gold mine of information. So, cool stuff. So this is one for me. So I used to own a company called Golden Tech, and we have another ex-Golden Tech employee here, Mr. David over there. I won't use your last name. So this is a user's forum. I pulled this up.
How many Davids worked at Golden?
They were all Davids.
Were they?
Yeah,
Okay.
even me.
I just wondered.
It was just all David. David.
All right.
So this was something that I put up. This is in 2006. I still pulled this up. This is a user forum where I was helping a guy with an Asterisk phone system. What do you think we probably ran at Golden Tech in 2006 for our phone system? Fucking Asterisk, right? I don't want to leak that information. I didn't even think about it, right? And it's still on the web. Again, I just pulled this up. I just did a search for it and pulled it up yesterday.
Your OPSEC sucks.
My OPSEC sucked. So, these are just the kind. Wow, that was.
Sorry, Peter.
That means I'm getting a little fat. And this is just the information that's out there for you to search. That doesn't even go into when we start looking at trying to send packets at places. So when you look at things like our Griffin. So this is one of the systems that we run that shows people who attack us on a daily basis. Peter wants to ask another question, so I'm going to let you in.
So regarding Hasta Risk, I mean, a lot of the telecom companies are using it,
Yeah.
especially as a feature switch.
Mm-hmm.
So they shouldn't? Or
I'm not saying they
what's the
shouldn't use
deal with it?
Asterisk. I think Asterisk is
I
fine.
mean, it's a great platform. It's an open source.
I
You started
listen,
with open source.
yes, I love
it's an
it.
open source system.
I love
and
that-
it's a great platform.
I love the fact that they're using it. We use Asterisk, and I love that fact. The issue is the intel that I can match a company with using that specific piece of software. What I should have done, like I do now when I go on forums, is I have an alter online ego, right? It has nothing to do with me. I won't tell you who it is. I have about 30 of them, right? So I use one of those to post in forums, right? So it's not attributed to my company or John's company or anybody I do business with. I can still get the information I want and still provide value back to the community, but they just don't have to know who I am, right? That posting that information and be able to attribute software and hardware you have in your organization is dangerous, right? So especially if someone really wants in your network bad, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
But it's not an issue in general.
Well,
that,
but you don't know
companies
that.
Are using,
So,
I mean, private companies are using it,
but
just for their own sake, and then telecom companies
it's
are
all
using
fine and dandy until the 0 day comes out that now everybody can get into it, right? So everybody used Mongo. Mongo was the shit. Everybody likes to use Mongo, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a vulnerability now we didn't know about, and now these Mongo databases are getting full with ransomware, right? No one knew about that. It was an O-day type situation. Same thing with any piece of software. That's why it doesn't matter. You can be running the latest and greatest version of whatever. You know, you have RDP on your network that's flat out in the wind on the internet, and you have it up to date and patched. But tomorrow, a vulnerability could come out where, man, now it's pretty easy to break in. It's a remote execution or whatever, and now people are getting into your stuff,
Yep.
right? So the less people know about that, the more obfuscated that stuff is for your company. To me, the better it is, right?
Okay.
The less footprint you
It's really
have,
just
so.
about making yourself a hard target, right? I mean, that's really
Well, yeah, that's what,
that was what I was
at our
going to ask
next
you
one we'll
next. Is how-
talk.
yeah, how do we protect? I mean, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so and the last thing I'll hit with this is we're getting close to time.
we're way over time.
Well,
normal time.
we'll have to be a little bit long today. So yeah,
got a
this,
lot of beer
Well,
left
that's
on that,
it's a big beer, so
That
I
is a
figured the
big
episode
beer.
had to go a little long.
That is a big beer.
But like for us, there's also intel you can get to then start sending packets to start sniffing out things on a network, right? So we watch for that kind of stuff with our system, but people do it all the time. You can scan the entire internet in 5 minutes. Like you use a program called Mass Scan. You can scan the entire internet for a protocol, every IP address on the internet, 5 minutes. And people do that all the time. So they're always out there looking for vulnerable pieces of software, protocols that are open that shouldn't be on your network, and that sort of stuff. This is, like I said, this is a snapshot of some honeypots that we run over a 24-hour period. We had about 2,700 attacks, which is kind of a lax day for us. So, and it's constant. This always happens. It's constant. We use it for threat intelligence, but that kind of intel is out there. So people are trying to probe your network for intel as well to find out, fingerprinting of devices that you have outside your network, what kind of firewalls you have, all that kind of stuff. So
how do you protect yourselves? How's
So
normal
again-
users? Because that's who we're talking to, right? How do we protect ourselves?
I think in the end you have to be careful about what is out there, what you're posting, right? What you're putting online, when you put it online. I think you need to realize that whatever you put online never goes away, right? So once it's out there,
written in ink?
it's written in the cloud.
It's written in ink, right?
Yeah, it's out there. It's never going away. So you just have to be vigilant about what you're posting, and think a little bit about it. Think about it like a red teamer would, right? Think like an adversary, which we'll talk about later. Think how someone could use that information against you, and then don't post it, right? So that's what I think people.
But
need to
and
do.
I think also we're not saying don't post to Facebook, but don't do that kind of stuff. Just be smart about what you do. Have your security settings. Take the time to learn that you don't have to post everything public and those kinds of things. And I think you'll be all right, right? I mean,
agree.
most of us will be fine
Well, I won't.
if we just follow the rules. You're never going to be fine.
But I know that's good. So, anybody have any questions about that? All right, good. So that's it for this
All right,
episode.
cool. Hey, well, this episode's over. We appreciate you tuning in and watching us talk about open source intelligence and, of course, drinking Fat Tug.
Tug.
And thank you to the Rocket Lounge for supplying this wonderful beer. And I guess until next week, we'll see you later.
Well, next time. So
Next time.
All right. See ya.
All right, bye.